This is the cheapest brand new car that you can buy.
But for the same price, you could have one of these.
Or you can buy one of these.
We know that our choices are very different compared to the Dacia. However, we wanted to find out what kind of semi-sensible 4-door performance saloon you could buy for very similar money. So first, let's have a look at the Dacia.
Here it is, the cheapest new car you can buy. It also isn't. We'll get onto that in a bit. But the Dacia Sandero, James May's favourite car of all time.
It is good news.
It's great news. And what it is a 1 litre, 90 horsepower Dacia Sandero Journey. And to be fair, this car, it's not about performance. It's about getting around.
This colour's great.
Great colour.
This is a really good colour.
To get here today, Ben, the videographer, drove it, and he described it as it's not fast, but it wants to go.
Perhaps it's got some pep in its step.
I think, you know, this sucker has got some pep in its step. So 1 litre, 90 horsepower, automatic gearbox, which might be a CVT. Shall we test it?
I think we can. Have you seen the key?
Whoa.
Look at that.
Right, so you can drive first. Well, we have to remember, this is a press car. We're now car reviewers. We have to be professional.
First thing I would like
Smart.
to say, this is a nice place to be.
This is, you know what? Just accelerate just the smallest bit. Pulls like a train, mate.
Do you know what? Just going through this width restriction makes me realise it handles like it's on rails.
On rails?
I haven't spotted something. So that's the key, which is bizarre. And then you just stick it in there.
Because it has CarPlay, which means that that can't be for that. So this car, in its most basic trim, costs £13,795. But this isn't one. I spoke to Dacia, and they were very kind enough to go, yes, you may use one of our Dacias, but it's a journey. So there are things in this car that I think the Essential doesn't have.
So because our car is slightly higher spec than standard, we decided to find out what you get for your £13,795.
White is included. We have that. They can never take white away from us. 15-inch steel wheels with full cap.
No cap.
We have Essential upholstery. Ooh, optional extras. We could start upping the price here. This could get sticky for us. Would you like a spare wheel for £300?
Nah,
We're gonna go without that.
Don't worry about it.
We can have a touring pack.
Like GT3?
Yeah. It's roof racks and a box. That's £453.
That's quite good value.
We have a swan neck tow bar.
Like a GT3 RS?
Yep, £579. And then we've got the dash cam pack. That's £329. Shark fin aerial and illuminated door sills. £374. The on-the-road price for this exact car is £18,000.
£18,000. It's a lot of money, but for a brand spanking new
For a
car.
brand new car, and it has to be said, there is nothing in here that you can find on a high-spec mid-2000s car. You're not getting Apple CarPlay on a big screen. You've got cruise control on your steering wheel.
Cruise control.
Quite interesting. You've got an L on the gear stick.
I do. What is that? Launch.
Go for it.
Let's put to the floor. Braking test.
Oh,
what?
I'm going to say it. It sounds kind of good.
Since eco cars have changed to 3 cylinders, they sound better.
Shout out to 3 cylinders. Underrated in the game.
To test the Dacia's performance properly, we decided to do a timed 0 to 60 run to see what this little engine could do.
Are we ready? A 0 to 60. 3, 2, 1, go.
Sorry, the stop-start started. We're off. 40.
You've got to tell me when to stop.
50. Hold the line. Caller. 60.
16.46. That is a true 0 to 60, launching away from a light. Start-stop had to come on. I don't think it's terrible.
Take that out, it's probably 6.
Probably a full 4.5, 5 second, I'd say. You know what? Unironically, if someone asked me I need to buy a brand new car for as cheap as possible, absolutely, why not?
Absolutely fine. But if you did have the same money, there are some other options.
There are. I would buy one of these, an E60 BMW M5, for one reason and one reason only. What is inside there? In my opinion, the most special engine put in the most ludicrous car you could possibly come up with. A race-derived V10 put in a 4-door saloon for less than £13,000. That's not a sentence that you should be able to say. Our friend Taylor owns this car and he paid less than £13,000 for it.
Taylor has had a couple of issues already. He's had it
2
months,
weeks,
2 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
He's in the hundreds of pounds repairs already.
And that's quite cheap. But that's not what we're looking at today.
No, we're not.
We're looking at, if I had 13 grand in my pocket, firstly, great. Secondly, I'd go and buy one of these. Interlagos blue, I think the best colour. You had an E92 M3 in this colour and it's your favourite.
Yeah, this is exactly how I would spec an E60 M5.
It's the E60
It's
M5.
E60 M5.
Also, because it's an early car, it's on the earlier wheels, it looks like Top Gear. This is a Top Gear car.
Before we go any further with the M5 and the C63, this is a quick reminder that if you're buying a used car, you should always run a car vertical check.
That's right, because every single day, hundreds of cars get crashed, stolen, or clocked, and some of them get put back on the road in an attempt to hide their dodgy past. But with a car vertical report, you can find out that shady history.
All you have to do is enter your reg number or your VIN, and a car vertical report will tell you if that car has been crashed, stolen, or clocked.
Now behind me is the Sandero that Dacia very kindly lent us, and you'd be very surprised if it somehow managed to have a yellow warning, and luckily for them, it does have a green tick for odometer, finance, and damage. So all safe on that.
Now, this Volkswagen Jetta may have quite a few green ticks, but it has a yellow marker for damage, and if we scroll down, we can see that there is an engine through the windscreen, and that is absolutely not where it should have been. Pretty much every single airbag has gone off inside the car. So this car has been in some form of mystery crash. Now, if you see this car back up for sale in pristine condition with a car vertical report, you can find out this quite strange past.
So if this video inspires you to go out and buy a cheap performance saloon, make sure that you're on a car vertical report on it to make sure that the price you pay matches its history.
And as an added bonus for this Cyber Monday, Car Vertical are offering you guys 30% off when you use code CM using our link down in the description below.
Because it is kind of race inspired and race derived, there are some issues. This car has individual throttle bodies, an incredibly welcome thing to have, also incredibly complex, and the throttle actuators go, which costs you what, 500-600 quid minimum? Rod bearings, if it goes wrong before you fixed it in time, new engine, 5 to 10 grand minimum. SMG pumps, there you go. You have to treat this car with kid gloves, but you don't want to. Enough waffling, let's go and test the reason that we're here, and the reason that I've chosen this car, because it's not about what it looks like, it is about the noise it makes. Now, I've never driven one of these cars. I've wanted to my whole life. I promise I've not taken it to any anger yet.
There's a lot of RPMs to use there.
8 of your finest 1000 RPM from a V10 in a family saloon. It makes sense at the end of the day, why wouldn't you?
As soon as we got onto the road, we started to experience one of the M5's not so special features.
So, whoa.
The gearbox in this car is not your standard auto. What it basically is a manual transmission, but without the gear selector. A computer decides when to shift the manual transmission. There's a debate that has raged for years of people that like these cars saying, it's not that bad.
If something, you say, oh, you have to get used to it, it probably means it's not very good to begin with.
In other markets, you could get a manual one of these, but I'm not sure that would suit it.
Do you know what the gear changes feel like from here? When you were a kid, did your dad ever let you change gear? He holds the clutch and you go, ka-ching. Yeah, well done.
Very good.
As we approached an open stretch of road, it was time for me to do my first ever pull in one of my all-time dream cars.
I'm going to press EDC, which is the dampers.
So we're now stiff as heck.
We're now stiff.
You are now in max gearbox ferocity mode. Oh,
wow. I think my days of being a yobbo are a little bit over. I like intake noise more than exhausts. The day that I own one, it will be getting an entire straight pipe. I want to be the most antisocial human that has ever existed. That is my only goal.
I was absolutely loving the M5, but how does it stack up against some of the features in a brand new Dacia?
Do you have 6 airbags?
I know I've got one. Maybe there might be one over there.
Anti-lock braking system?
I think we do. I think we've got that.
Electronic stability program?
Yes, but I don't think I'd have it on. So I think technically no.
Traffic sign recognition with speed alert and intelligent speed assist?
So just here I'm seeing 50. I go to my leg. Brother, we've got to be at 50. And then my foot goes... Best I can do is 7,000 RPM.
Lane departure warning and lane keep assist.
I think perhaps just a passenger is what I've got. So if I go like this...
Whoa!
Sorry.
This car's getting more modern by the minute. Stop, start.
Yeah, it's got brakes and accelerator.
Yep, it goes off and on. 0 to 60. Oh, their claim number was 13.4. Do you think? I think this might be slightly...
I'll take their word on it that BMW's quicker, but I'd like to see it in a real world.
Having established that we not only had all the features of the Dacia, but also over 400 horsepower more, we decided to dig a little deeper into the issues with these older M5s. So we called BMW specialist Ultimate Velocity and spoke with owner Uvis about his thoughts on this generation of M5.
Let's say someone buys an E60 M5, no job's done, it needs everything doing. Realistically, how much to you would it cost to bring that car up to spec?
If you buy a 10 grand M5, there's no jobs done, be on a safe inside, probably about 3 grand, and you are all safe. Nothing gonna blow up and destroy the engine.
What is the cost of a replacement engine these days if one did go?
The used engine is probably 5,000–6,000 pounds.
In your experience, how often do even little things go wrong on these E60s that need attention?
It all depends how lucky you are. There is a people who have E60 M5s and actually never had any problems, and there's a people who is constantly repairing. It's just how lucky you are, how big dog you bought, you know?
It is a lot of money, but he's saying 2 or 3 grand. So you get an okay one, and that kind of gets you all the really bad bits done. After that, it's going to be sort of odds and sods.
And you have to remember, the Dacia that we tested is a couple grand more than the cheapest on the market. You're getting alloy wheels, some different interior. With the extra money on this, you're getting a car that doesn't break, maybe, which is all you can hope for. I'm going to buy one of these. If anybody would like any cars, let me know. I'll sell them all.
With me absolutely in love with the M5, we took a look at what Will would buy for the same money as the Dacia.
This is what I would have.
Quite cool.
This is a Mercedes C63 AMG. This is perfect car combo for me. Medium-sized, kind of smallish car, massive engine. You are not going to get a car this size with that big of an engine now.
I mean, Mercedes literally replaced it with a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine.
This is the car.
He has the correct amount of doors.
I'm a coupe man, but I wouldn't have this in a coupe. I would have it as a saloon.
The saloon, the proportions, everything is so nice.
Coupe has a touch of the Birmingham about it.
Oh.
A hand-built 6.2 litre engine.
Also, a 5-litre V10 is ridiculous. They've added another Dacia engine and some more.
Also, that's a 5 Series. This is the model down.
The little guy.
This is the small guy, and he's...
Shall we?
I think we shall.
Oh,
Could be an expensive day for the pair of us.
do you know what that is? That's different gravy. Now, I will admit something. For a very long time, I was a Mercedes hater. Recently, I've been getting into them.
You've basically bought the predecessor to this car, albeit not quite as loved.
No, I bought the underloved version of this car. Still, kind of big engine, a 5.5 litre in an even smaller, older C-Class.
The owner, John, who's lent me the car for the day, as far as he's aware, it's completely stock, but he said it does have some form of pop and bang crackle back. So I'm getting the full C63 experience.
So equally, the full Birmingham experience, because if that's what this car has on it, it must have been from there. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's quite good.
All right, okay, things just got quite expensive. Yeah.
It has to be said, not possible in a Dacia.
You will fly under the radar slightly more on the Dacia.
I'd say a little bit. Let me ask you something. Would you buy a Dacia over this?
In any circumstance, I'm buying this.
Okay.
So you're probably thinking that, just like the M5, now that these C63s are dirt cheap, they probably have a ton of issues.
All of the issues that we were talking about with the M5, they don't happen with these.
No, these are very, very reliable. Really early ones have got a quite scary issue with head bolts.
Head bolts, right.
So the head lifts and causes lots of very large issues. Also, they get abused to within an inch of their life, so you do have to be very careful buying one.
I'm converted.
I'm sold.
I will 100% admit, as someone who didn't care very much about these cars, I want this.
There is actually a way to get a C63 for even less than the example we're driving.
So, John, who lent us this car, he told me he paid around 16 grand for this car. That was this year as well. It wasn't years ago, so that is a relatively current price.
So you paid around £16,000 for a facelift, which is still cheaper than the Dacia we got loaned. For the £13,500, the cheapest Dacia money, you could buy a pre-facelift one of these. You could get in there for the money.
Yeah.
Having driven our cars separately, we got them both out on the road together, and the only thing that could make this drive better was this Auto Alex Multiverse Christmas jumper. These are limited edition, so head to topdeadsea.com and get yours before they're gone.
This is the antisocial car of choice. If you are antisocial, this is the car for you.
They're trying to get rid of these cars. Anything that pollutes a certain amount, tax goes up, and they try and force people out of ownership of them. There might be a world in which cars like these, with engines as big as these, simply just get banned from being on the road. So while the prices are so relatively low, and believe me, it's not lost on us that £13,000 is still a lot of money to pay for a car, for something as special as this, I still think it is a complete bargain. Would you probably be ruined by the mountainous maintenance cost? Yeah, Absolutely. But to say that you owned a 500 horsepower V10 family saloon, I think that's a dice I'd be willing to roll. Absolutely ridiculous.
With both of us loving our cars, we decided to see what the public thought of them, and more importantly, how much they thought each car was worth.
So these cars were very, very expensive when they were new. I think that M5 was probably around about 100 grand in today's money if you compare the prices. We want to find out, what do people think of them now?
Bit of a random question for you. How much do you think a car like this would be worth, just off the top of your head with no knowledge?
I'm going to say 7.
£7,000. Thank you very much.
Looking at this car, how much would this cost you right now?
I'm not the best person to ask, you know.
This is a rough guess. If you were to throw any price at this just by looking at it, what would you say?
8,000?
8,000? Okay, all right.
I've got no idea.
No, that's. I'm asking. I want honest answers.
It.
Hi, sorry. How much do you think a car like this might be worth?
I don't know, 3 grand?
3 grand. That would be a good deal. Wow, everyone thinks it's worth nothing. She said £3,000.
Around 20 grand.
20 grand.
I wouldn't have a clue.
But £5,000, you reckon, potentially? Fair enough. Thank you very much. What do you think a car like this might be worth? Just out of interest, with no knowledge. No? No, bro was not happy. I've had 3 quotes so far: £5,000, £3,000, and £7,000.
A guy at the car wash said 20 grand, and then a lovely old chap said 8.
The woman that said £3,000, I'd like to ask her to find me one.
But it does prove people think those cars make you look rich, but actually they don't know, but they think it's even cheaper than it is.
After getting our appraisals from the public, we took these 2 amazing cars onto some twisty roads for one last drive before handing them back to their owners.
Oh my good God.
Driving behind my mate, I'm in a 6.2 litre V8 Mercedes. He is in a 5 litre V10 saloon car on some great roads. It doesn't get much better than this.
I'm sorry if most of this video has just been gibberish and schoolgirl giggling, but it's hard not to.
Modern cars just cannot do what the pair of these 2 can do.
Yes, I know the gearbox is dumb. Yes, I know that it's going to cost millions to keep running, but I don't care. This is a childhood dream car for me. Thankfully, it's not a don't meet your heroes moment, because this is just as good or better than I was expecting.
I can't tell you how much camber this has got at the front and how that has affected the turn-in, but I can tell you emotionally that this will make anyone smile.
In no way is there a competition between these 2 cars. In reality, we're driving 2 dinosaurs that will never exist again and getting to enjoy them, all for the price of the cheapest brand new car in the UK. Will, if I put £13,750 in your pocket, would the first thing that you went out and bought be a C63 AMG?
Right now, in this moment, 100%. I am sold on this car.
I have been sitting here just trying to do the man math on A, buying one of these, but more importantly, keeping one going. What I ended up deciding on is that you could buy one of these, but then you'd need a C63 to be reliable enough to be your bank job getaway car to pay for the maintenance on this car.
You know what? I hadn't thought of crime, but now you mention it, this would be quite good for some crime. Although, if I did it in Birmingham, I would be lost amongst a sea of other C63s with pops and bangs.
You can get first gen RS6s, you can get RS4s, you can get any STI you want, you can get into all sorts of cars for this money. It is crazy the value that is out there right now.
And I think they are all cars that if you wait 5 to 10 years, they will not be in that price bracket anymore.
How much longer will you be able to buy a 6.2 litre V8 AMG or a 5 litre V10 BMW M5 for just a shade over 10 grand? Surely it can't be that much longer.
I'm giving it 5 years before that M5 starts to go silly. I think these 663s have got a little bit longer.
Agreed, and if there are enough of them on Copart for a while, we should still be able to get them cheap enough. So if uninsured drivers could keep crashing them, that would be great.
Birmingham, mate, you are up.
Thank you very much for watching this week. It's because of you guys that we get to try cars like this. If you want to watch where Will and I bought cheap sports cars, you can click here. Make sure that you subscribe, and we'll see you next week with something new.